Hey guys, it's me again. It's been a minute since I've checked in, and I have some sadness and some gladness to report, and I must report on the sadness first. So, unfortunately, over the weekend on Saturday, we lost a family member. Maggie, our little black kitty, passed away. She was a really sweet cat. When we first met, actually, me and her, that is, she's my wife's cat. She threw up at my presence. That's how much she liked me in the beginning. She was very shy to new people, but she warmed up to me pretty quickly, and we eventually became best friends. She loved to cuddle. She liked to hop on my lap, take a nap on my lap while I was working, mostly, but usually I didn't mind it. She was very smart. She got along splendidly with her brother Neo, who I don't know if he realizes that she's gone. But, well, it all started like the end of February, early March. Maggie started to develop the sniffles. At first, we just assumed it was a cold. So I bought her some cold medicine for cats, and it was like these little pills that you mix in with their food. Gave it to her for like about a week or so, and she got better. So I was like, okay, great. So I stopped giving her the pills, and then the symptoms came back. So I started giving her the pills again, but this time the symptoms would not subside. So we decided to take her to her vet. There's a vet that we have taken both of our cats to that just deals with cats. And the doctor looked inside of Maggie's nose, didn't find any blockages, and just gave her some antibiotics. So we gave her the antibiotics. We had to give them to her in a syringe. And we waited for about a week. And not only did she not get better, but if anything, she was getting worse. She was becoming sluggish, and she was barely eating. She was losing weight. In the beginning, when she first showed symptoms of the sniffling, I mean, she was clearly congested, but she was still acting like herself. But now she was clearly declining. And even though she was scheduled for a follow up, we weren't sure that she was going to make it to that follow up. So we took her to her brother Neo's vet. And Neo's vet diagnosed her with something called calicivirus, or at least she had all the symptoms of this calicivirus, basically a feline flu, of which there is allegedly a vaccine, but Maggie doesn't have that vaccine. But he gave her more antibiotics and said, just give her the antibiotics. If she doesn't eat, you may have to force feed her, puree her cat food with some Pedialyte to, give her fluids and nutrients. So that's what we did for several days, but she still was not getting better. She was still getting weaker. She was still losing weight. She was drinking, but she could not eat. She was trying to eat, but she looked like she was struggling, like she was gagging, and she kept on smacking her nose, like she was trying to get something out of her nose. Finally, Saturday morning, my wife woke me up, and she said, I think we have to take Maggie to the emergency room. So, finding a vet that's open on a weekend is not an easy task, as anybody who owns a pet would know. But we did find a hospital about 30 minutes away from us. We took Maggie there, and they said that, well, they wanted to give her a CT scan, but they didn't have the equipment to do so. So originally, we were going to have them keep her for a night or two, give her an IV with fluids and stuff like that, get her weight up, get her strength up, and then we would take her to a specialist on Monday. So we went home. And then when we got home, the hospital called us and said, we found an opening for a specialist that could give her a CT scan, but it was really far away from us, like an hour away from our house, way out there. So I was like, all right, fine, let's take her. So we had to first pick her up from the hospital, and then we had to transport her from the hospital to this specialist place, which was, they stayed after hours to help us. Excuse me. I have a little bit of a cold. They gave her a CT scan. It was really expensive, but we wanted answers to what's wrong with her. And we waited for about an hour, and then the doctor came out and told us that it's most likely cancer. That she has a blockage in her nasal cavity, like between her nose and her mouth, and it was making it very difficult for her to breathe, let alone eat. And the prognosis was not good. The cancer was inoperable, and yeah, he could give her radiation, but it would most likely just prolong her life for another few months, and she would be in agony. Maggie did have a pre-existing condition of FIV, feline AIDS, which she had had since she was adopted. Which feline AIDS, it works kind of like human AIDS in that it makes it very difficult to fight infections. And in the back of my mind, for some time, I kind of suspected that something like this might happen with her, where she would only need to get sick one time, and that would be it, unfortunately. And well, this was the fruition of my prediction, unfortunately. So, uh, when we got this bleak diagnosis, I turned to my wife because, Maggie was her cat. She adopted her. I told her we'll do whatever you want to do, and we made the difficult decision to end her suffering. We were both there in the room during her final moments. I had previously draped one of my shirts over Maggie back when we were at the animal hospital because she liked my scent. She liked sleeping on my clothes. So I draped my shirt over Maggie and watched her take her last breaths, and that shirt is her shirt now. We are going to have her cremated, and we're going to have her ashes put in an urn. I told my wife, pick whichever urn you want. I'll take care of it. And yeah, so she's gone, and she passed exactly a day before her 7th birthday. And yeah, of course, my wife and I were devastated. We loved Maggie, and she loved us, and she loved her brother, who was a dog, but they got along fabulously. And she leaves behind an adopted sister, Piedra. I think Piedra is starting to realize that her competition is no longer around. So, in a weird way, this will probably lessen her anxiety a little bit. But yeah, so Maggie. I mean, my wife tells me the story from time to time. So my wife, she had Neo, our dog, and she wanted a cat. She had a cat when she was young, Blackie, and that cat passed away. She wanted another black cat. So she went to a shelter and she picked out a cat, but the cat didn't want to come out of the cage. It was being very uncooperative. So she kind of threw up her hands and gave up. And as she was leaving the place, she felt a paw reach out from between the bars of a cage and bop her. And it was 6-month-old Maggie. And at first, the volunteer was like, "Oh, you don't want that one. She has feline AIDS." And my wife, being the beautiful soul that she is, said, "No, oh no, I want that one." So she brought her home. This was before my wife and I had met. and she was a very sweet and wonderful kitty for all the years that we knew her. We're still in mourning. I'm still in mourning. I don't think we're going to be getting another cat anytime soon. Certainly not until after we've properly mourned and after we've moved into our new co op, because I don't want to rush into anything. I have known people who lost a pet and then they got a new one literally 2 days later, and I always felt that was really weird and kind of disrespectful in a weird way. But anyway, yeah, so not a great weekend. We do have some good things to look forward to in our lives, my wife and I, in the near future, but uh, not a good last couple of weeks. So uh, that's all I wanted to share right now. Take care, guys.